his money, albeit these guys are getting such a deal. Daddy's not losing that much money. So take that, Mr. No Raise in 48 years.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Good to have you with us on this Monday night edition of Sports Talk Media Network across the state of South Carolina. Phil Kornbluth and Pat Daniel here in Columbia. Have Chris Bergen joining us from his swank estate down in Florence. And Matt Smith will be joining us as well from his humble abode in Charleston. In just a moment, we'll all be together. All of us were at the games over the weekend. I was up at Clemson, see the Tigers take down Boston College. Smitty was in Columbia to see the Gamecocks survive Troy. And Bergie was in Conway watching Coastal Carolina trample another hapless opponent to open Sunbelt Conference play. And the Chanticleers are right back in action early this week on a Thursday out in Arkansas. We'll talk about those games in just a moment. Of course, today in Talladega, they finally got the race in most of the way. Ended about, 70 laps shy because of rain. And Bubba Wallace gets the win. He's a non-playoff driver. So that means 2 spots remain for the transition to the next cut when they go to the Roval in Charlotte this coming weekend. But, of course, the significance of this win for Bubba Wallace really not lost on anybody, considering what happened last July at Talladega and the fact that he's the first black driver to win on the NASCAR Major Series level since 1963. No doubt a popular win for a lot of people across the NASCAR land and around the country, and for his sponsors as well. So we'll touch on that as we move through the program, too. Zach Willis will be along at 7:30, First and 10 with Zach, and a visit with Mick Mixon, who has to talk about a Panthers loss for the first time this season, going out to Big D and coming up short there. For you to reach us, phone number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. We'll take as many phone calls as we can get to. Go ahead and get online. First up will be first in tonight here on the program, as always, here on Sports Talk. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. First of all, let's check in with everybody. We have Smitty connected with us. Okay, very good. First of all, Bergie, good to have you with us. And Coastal Carolina continuing to just, romp haplessly through, they're not hapless, but romping over hapless opponents to this point in the season.
You know, it's interesting, Phil. You look at Coastal Carolina, we hear often that coaches talk about you've got to be good in all 3 phases. You've got to be good in offense. You've got to be good in defense. You've got to be good in special teams. Coastal has figured that out, and they actually put that out on the field. They blocked another punt for a touchdown on Saturday against Louisiana Monroe. It's the 2nd punt block for a score that they've had this year, 3rd punt block period for them. Plus, their offense is just it's nearly unstoppable, and their defense is playing lights out. They are worthy of that top 16 ranking that they're currently enjoying right now. And I don't see anybody. That Appalachian State game in 2 weeks, that may be their best test the rest of the way. Otherwise, I don't see anybody challenging these guys the rest of the year.
What's the deal with McCall, his ankle? He was in a little bit of a walking boot, I guess it was, in the second half. Wasn't going to play in the second half, apparently, anyway.
No, they were up 38-3, so they were going to take him out regardless. And most of the starters played limited minutes in the third quarter, and then after that, it was you pretty much, if you were on the roster, you got a chance to play. But Grayson McCall is okay. He is, as Coach Chadwell said earlier today, ready to, quote, rock and roll. against Arkansas State. Had they needed to play him on Saturday, they would have. They just wanted to put him in a boot. They actually got my guess is there was a play late in the second quarter where he was actually downfield blocking for a running back trying to score. That's the kind of football player Grayson McCall is. He's not a quarterback. He is a football player that happens to play quarterback. And he was actually downfield blocking and was about the last guy to get off the bottom of the pile. And I think that's when he actually hurt his foot. It was a lower left leg injury. They put him in a boot. They felt that was the appropriate measure. Had they needed him on Saturday, Coach Chadwell said today he would be able to go. And as a matter of fact, if they weren't playing on Thursday, if they were playing a normal game on Saturday, they probably would have run him back out there. But they thought precaution, go ahead and put him in the boot, make sure it can't get any worse. And as of today, he is ready to go on Thursday against Arkansas State.
Same can't be said for a Clemson and the MASH unit that the Tiger football program is becoming. Will Taylor, done for the season, torn ACL. What a tough break for that kid. I mean, he passed up $3 million plus to come to Clemson to play football and baseball. And now here it is, the 1st of October, going to have ACL. Now, we know Clemson can heal people up pretty quickly up there, as we've seen in the past. But still, you're talking about this impacting perhaps his baseball season some as well. But more to the point, Clemson football really starting to feel it from a personnel loss standpoint. So there goes your guy who might have stepped in and be that slot receiver, though they'll live with who they have right now. And as far as their win over Boston College, and let me say this. I'm going to say this right now. Mark it down, gentlemen. It's 6:11 Eastern time here on October the 4th, 2021. I had a corn vision the other night watching the Tigers.
Corn vision.
Those are powerful. I don't get them often, but when I do, they're powerful. Mark this down, Pat. I want you to remember this. Mark this on the tape so you can bring it back up repeatedly when I'm right. The rest of the season, per game, Smitty, Clemson will average over 400 yards and over 27 points per game moving forward.
Wow. Is that based solely on your belief in the Clemson offense or the fact that they don't play anybody worth a darn the rest of the year?
Well, a little bit of both, but it's a corn vision. And when you have that, movement, you have to release it. And so I'm releasing it now at this time.
Fair enough.
No, I see a quarterback who's getting better. Look, I think everybody, talk show hosts included, misconstrued DJ Uyunglele based on last year. 2 appearances, Boston College, Notre Dame over 900 yards. And you thought you had a finished product who would just sashay right in like Deshaun Watson did and like Trevor Lawrence did. And the expectations, that bar was set way up there for him when it should not have been. Obviously, he is not anywhere near a finished product, nor the product that the Tigers had with those 2. Okay, understand that then, but understand that you do have a guy with rare talent as well who can really zing it. And as he learns how to zing it properly, he's going to get better. Plus, you're seeing more and more out of him in the run game. Now, Clemson got its run game going. You're going to have to start to respect the run game. And Kobe Pace came out and ran really hard. And Phil Maffa, I mean, who the heck is Phil Maffa? I mean, I know he's a Clemson signee and all that, but he looked like Herschel Walker out there. I mean, he looked like a smaller version of Herschel Walker.
He said Maffa can run the football. They were really, really high on him. So I'm not sure that surprised the coaching staff. It obviously surprised all of us, but they were very high on his ability, and he obviously put it on display Saturday against Boston College.
Yeah, so, watching that, and look, I know Clemson, they can't settle for field goals. They've got to finish drives, but they created turnovers for the first time this season. They won the turnover battle, and so they got that going for them. And they had some, they had some mess ups out there as well. They didn't play a clean game. They didn't play a perfect game by any means. But I think that if they can avoid further, devastating injuries to key players and build on what they did against Boston College, then, and you look at the schedule that's ahead for them, which is pretty light. We'll see how good Wake Forest is come the end of the season. They got Florida State, which is still awful, and Syracuse, which is more awful, and, Connecticut, which is incredibly awful, and South Carolina, which I don't think they can muster enough points to beat them. But that game might be competitive because, Beamer's got them playing hard and they'll be playing at home. You'd be competitive this time. Just not much left there for Clemson to have to deal with. So, yeah, Corn Vision had it the other day, 400 plus yards per game, 27 points per game. That's how I see it. And so, Smitty, you were at the South Carolina game, and they managed to beat Troy. They were only a 7-point favorite, so really the spread was a little more than what was projected by Vegas. But they should have had more points, and I mean they did some things that weren't very smart. Though I did see some good things from Doty, especially in the first half, and they've got to get the running game going more. But what did you see from the Gamecocks?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Corn. Mixed bag, mixed results for South Carolina. The early returns aren't good on two fronts. Team discipline, 10 penalties, and this team, and obviously Jamar Brown making the boneheaded play of the early season, and then no offensive identity, and that's been talked about, and we've discussed that as well. This is an offensive staff, but let me couch that by saying positive reviews for the defense and special teams. Yes, there was a muff punt from Marion Brown, but Pete Limbo's unit blocked another punt. Parker White goes 3 for 3, including a pressure-packed kick to put the game away. Special teams looks good. Pete Limbo has been an excellent hire. That's without debate. But this is an offensive staff, in my opinion, that is searching. If you remember, if you compare this to and you've been through plenty of coaching changes at South Carolina, if you look back on South Carolina's history of coaches, you can see they came in with a plan, and you knew what Steve Spurrier wanted to do, and early on they were looking for players over the middle, and sometimes an interception would happen, and you knew though, well, Coach Spurrier, that's part of his playbook. They're going to do that. Lou Holtz came in, he said, guys, we're going to run the ball. We're going to establish the run. It's not working. We're going to keep doing it. They went 0-11 trying just to run against a brick wall because he knew he was going to do that long term. I don't know that Shane Beamer and his offensive staff know who they're even supposed to be as an offense right now. I'm not sure there is a good answer. And this is a question you and other reporters asked in the offseason. Hey, Coach Beamer, what does a Coach Shane Beamer offense look like? We're in 5 games, and I don't know that there's a real answer to that because, as you said, the running game's not going. They only ran the ball, I believe, 11 times with Kevin Harris. There was a lot of orbit motion. The leading rusher on the day was Josh Vann on a reverse. So they are winning games, but they are winning games in a way I'm not so sure Gamecock fans are all that comfortable with right now because the offense, while it puts up yards and will get the occasional chunk play, the best statistic was actually offered by Shane Beamer. And, Chris, you can actually help me with this. When you were on the call with Shane Beamer last night, he said there were 6 drives that started first and 10, or there was a first and 10, 6 different times inside of Troy territory, so plus territory. And of those 6 drives, they put together 3 field goals.
That is
9
correct.
Points. So I got that right. So 9 points
that is correct.
Produced on 6 drives where you've got first and 10, and one of those was a first and goal. And the reason for that is not because they're not putting up yards. They're not productive on third down, but I think that's because they don't know where to go. DeCarry and Joyner dropped one on fourth down. Who's your go-to guy? Well, if it's Josh Vann, the defense knows that. You want to run it with Kevin Harris? Well, the defense knows that. You have to – some of the other players have to step up and do some things for South Carolina to produce points. And I'm not – and by the way, when I say all that, that may sound critical of the staff. I think it's a learning curve for Shane Beamer. This is his first year as a head coach. So I'll give the Steve Spurrier example one more time. When Steve Spurrier walked into South Carolina, he had his playbook. And even if those plays did not work initially, he said, I've been doing this a long time. They will work. Here's what we need to do, guys. And he would coach and coach and coach. I think this is a coaching staff right now with Shane Beamer. And again, this is not overly critical. It's a learning curve. I don't know that he and Marcus Satterfield know who they're supposed to be with this personnel. And it's not all bad because they're 3-2. It's not all bad. But I would say if anybody thinks they have seen an offensive identity through 5 games, I would challenge that because the statistics bear otherwise.
All right, very good. Phone number 888-898-2525. We'll get to your phone calls right after the break. Gamecocks getting ready for Tennessee. They are a 12-point underdog to a Vols team that I think shocked everybody with the way they jumped on Missouri out in Columbia, Missouri, and just beat the tar out of them. About 700 yards of offense. Looks like Hendon Hooker now has settled in as their starting quarterback, runner and thrower, and they like to go really fast. I mean, really fast at Tennessee. By the way, Ortre Smith, Gamecock receiver, according to 24/7 Sports, has entered the transfer portal, John. So after several years in the Gamecock program, not playing much this year, he's had injuries, has decided to move on somewhere else. We'll get to your phone calls after the break here on Sports Talk.
Hi, I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and I've got a great gift idea that requires zero shopping, the gift of college savings. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan makes it easy. Grandparents, friends, and family can all contribute to a Future Scholar account and know that they're providing a gift that will last a lifetime. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, look no further. Learn more about the smart, easy way to save and give this holiday season at futurescholar.com.
Save like a pro with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders Loyalty Select account gives you the opportunity to grow your savings at our best rate yet. Fund your account through your favorite Loyalty Select product to get savings today. Not a member yet? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxfax.
All right, folks who are lining up, we're going to get to your phone calls in just a sec. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number into Sports Talk. And did you know that since 2002, more than $174 million in lottery proceeds have been used to purchase, maintain, and fuel over 2,000 school buses in South Carolina? Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. And playing for fun is, without a doubt, a win for education. Couple of quick notes. Clemson running back Kobe Pace is the ACC running back of the week. Vanderbilt at USC will be a 4 o'clock kickoff on the SEC network. And Appalachian State linebacker DeMarco Jackson, native of Spartanburg, Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Week. Matt Rule, the Panthers, says Christian McCaffrey going to come out for practice on Wednesday, and they'll see where he is at that point football-wise. We'll get more on that from Mick Mixon later in the show. Your Southern Conference Defensive Player of the Week is Dominique Poole of the Citadel, 5 tackles, 3 breakups, and an interception, and a great win for the Citadel over VMI. And Wofford punter kicker Atkins Roberts, SoCon Special Teams Player of the Week, and also the Stats Perform National Special Teams Player of the Week. Our new poll question of the week, tied in Oscar Delp has completed his visits to his final 3 of Gamecocks, Clemson, and Georgia. Which will he pick on October 13th? 373 votes in, and 64% are saying Bulldogs. 29% are saying Gamecocks. 7% are saying Tigers. I will talk more about this in our recruiting report coming up later on. Right now, though, your phone calls are welcome. 888-898-2525 is the number. So let's hit the lines. And we begin with Tiger Bryan in Lancaster tonight. Tiger Bryan, good to have you with us. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. A ugly win is better than a pretty loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, but I'm going to give y'all a shout out. I hope you don't be doing no more visions about Clemson. Don't jinx me now, baby.
Well,
Come on.
It's like this. Certain individuals on the planet have certain powers, and we can't relieve ourselves of those powers. We have to learn to live. I've learned to live with this over the last 35 years.
Well, I hope you're right, but I'm gonna give a shout out to Tammy Tiger Hegler. She helped me out today doing a little painting on my house. I'm getting new gutters. I got to give her a shout out, but she's a big Clemson fan. She worried me today at wanting all the stats and all that. So I don't worry. All I want to do is win, win, win.
Well, I mean,
Y'all
did you paint those gutters orange?
No, I took the gutters. I'm getting new gutters. They've been on the house 30 years, and I had to paint all the I had to paint the box and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a hair conditioner man. I'm not a painter. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Next time my AC goes out, I'm calling you.
Call me. I got plenty of people. I'll send somebody to do it for free.
Oh, I'm definitely calling
Yep.
you.
Yep. I ain't gonna change you, but I'll have somebody fix it for you. Yep. I thank the world of y'all. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
Hey, go Tigers.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, there you go. Open invitation. Any of us have problems with our air conditioning, we're calling Tiger Bryan Air and Heating. What we're doing.
Love it. And remember, Phil, with great power comes great responsibility. So don't just drop those visions on us.
Hey, it's the first corn vision I've dropped in a long time.
All right.
Who knows
Fair
when the
enough.
next
I just
one?
wanted to remind you.
Who knows when the next one will hit me? They come out of nowhere. They come
now,
out of
oftentimes visions are brought on by days of fasting. That wasn't going on here, was it?
No. I've been eating just fine.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm past the fast day. Let's go to Hank in Columbia. Next with us here on Sports Talk. Hank, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right, Corn.
Good.
I wanted to comment a little bit on the Carolina game and I guess what we're all talking about. And like I said, I agree with Matt. The defense and the special teams are solid. Offensively, the offensive team showed spurts of some good things. You know, they had a number of missed. They had a couple of drop passes as we've come to know. And then Doty missed a couple of wide receivers that were wide open in the first half that would have been touchdowns. But as far as this identity thing, Corn, to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of no different than the first year we had Spurrier. If you remember when I think the only thing that helped everybody with Spurrier and the identity thing was the fact that Spurrier was known from his Florida days and his White Redskins days of what he wanted to do. Because if you look at this team, you remember when Spurrier first got here, we had all of the crazy missed timeouts and all that other stuff. And then the team couldn't, remember he always say the team wasn't really paying us assignments and so you really couldn't see it. And so what he had was, remember he went to Sylvell Newton and Sylvell Newton just kind of ran around and threw it around until late in that year when we went to Tennessee, which was like the 8th or 9th game, where we started to actually see what his offense would look like with Carolina.
You're right. Mm-hmm. I do not disagree with that. The only difference is to Spurrier, to anybody that's followed him, Spurrier alone had an identification. You know, the offense might have been a work in progress when he got there, but everybody knew with Steve Spurrier what you're going to potentially and eventually get from his offense. Then came the Will Muschamp era where you really were lost in the desert trying to figure out the offense as he went through coordinators. And now it's the Shane Beamer era where you've got a brand new coordinator who, you know, in the preseason talked about at times wanting to go fast, at times wanting to huddle. And I think he's kind of still maybe learning on the fly here as well as he kind of figures out his personnel. And they kind of sort through everybody to see who is best at what they can do. They obviously remain extremely convinced that Luke Doty is their best quarterback because, you know, if Zeb Rowland is healthy, they said he was healthy last week, he didn't play. He didn't play this game. So obviously they're going to roll with Luke Doty and let him work through whatever deficiencies he might have in his game. And there are plenty of those in his game right now, as Smitty pointed out, the missed throws and things like that. But again, we're talking about a guy. We're only talking about a guy, and the same thing with Uyangalele. In Doty's case, we're only talking about a guy who's played in roughly 5 games in his college career. So we are expecting way too much.
Yeah. And one thing you can say is when I went back and I watched the game at the stadium, but when I went back and watched on Sunday, Doty had those missed spots where he had those, like you say, those kinks in his game. But then there were parts of the game where Doty did really well and made nice passes, nice throws, and that contributed to his stats also.
We got the run. Hey, thank you for the phone call. We'll pick it up on the other side of the break. Be right back.
Kevin Cohen here with Tim Hanberry from Medicare Blueprint. So, Tim, it is open enrollment now for Medicare. How does that impact our listeners at the point?
Well, Kevin, now's the time for you to review your Medicare Advantage plan because they can and do change each year. You'll need to make sure that your prescriptions are still covered and at what cost. So what should you do? First, give us a call. We'll ask you a few questions. We'll find out what your prescriptions are and what doctors you see. Then we'll find the best plan for you. We'll do all the work for you. We'll even make sure to show you all the additional benefits you're entitled to.
Yeah, listen, I called Tim and his team, and it's just like he says. We've cut our healthcare costs considerably. So don't waste time. Don't waste this opportunity during open enrollment. Give Tim a call at Medicare Blueprint, 803-708-7405, or find him online at MedicareBlueprint.com. That's 708-7405 or MedicareBlueprint.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Officials are looking into whether a ship's anchor may have struck an oil pipeline on the ocean floor, causing a massive leak of crude oil into the waters off Southern California. The head of the company that operates the pipeline said Monday that divers have examined more than 8,000 feet of pipe and are focusing on one area of significant interest. Amplify Energy CEO Martin Wilshire says a ship's anchor striking the pipeline is one of the distinct possibilities for the cause of the leak. The leak has fouled the sands of famed Huntington Beach and other coastal communities. The spill could keep beaches closed for weeks or months. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 323 points. The Nasdaq dropped 311. The S&P 500 lower by 56. Oil up today to $77.87 a barrel. This is SRN News.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxfax.
Hey, it's Jay with the Melting Pot. Is it me, or does life speed by so much faster this time of year? Your calendar fills up so quickly. Then before you know it, you're scratching your head when you see Christmas decorations for sale at Lowe's. How do you stay connected? Well, thanks for asking. We have the answer. It's fondue. Come in for reconnecting time. Have 4 courses, or just chocolate, or just cheese. We are here for you. 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard. The Melting Pot.
Trust me, I know what back to school means for mom and dad and the kids. I've got 2 in school right now, and it means rides. Rides back and forth to school, rides to practice, rides to everything. This year, make all those rides comfortable, make them safe and affordable with a new Honda from Honda of Columbia. You deserve a comfy and safe ride, and you'll get that with a Honda. And I know I've taken many a family trip in my Honda Odyssey. Lainey's taken the kids all over town, everywhere in her Pilot. My daughter's now a senior. She heads to school daily in her Honda Civic. We are clearly a Honda family. We've bought more than 20 different Hondas over the years from the team at Honda of Columbia. It's all I've ever trusted for my family, period. school, soccer, football, dance, or drums, wherever you're headed, ride in style and comfort with amazing technology, leading edge safety, great gas mileage, and room for everything. Enjoy a no-hassle pricing and a no-pressure buying experience. Online at HondaofColumbia.com or go see the great folks at Honda of Columbia in person. Take a test drive. Fall in love with a Honda. Visit Honda of Columbia, Highway 378 at I-20.
Back we are here on Sports Talk on this Monday after. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Pat Daniel, Chris Bergen, and Matt Smith all together. The group is all here. Three of us saw games on Saturday. I was at Clemson. Matt was at USC, and Chris was at Coastal Carolina. Chris will be with the Shots this week as they head out Wednesday to Arkansas at Jonesboro, Arkansas, right? Beautiful Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Actually spending the night in Memphis, Tennessee, and then will travel over for the game. They've never won in Jonesboro. They are 0-2. As a matter of fact, Arkansas State leads the all-time series 3-1. And after dispatching of Terry Bowden this past weekend, the new coach at Louisiana Monroe, now they get a crack at Butch Jones, the former Tennessee coach, who's now the new coach at Arkansas State.
I think they lost to Georgia Southern over the weekend, didn't they?
Yes, that is
Arkansas
correct.
State gave up a bunch of points. And
they can score, but I'm not sure defensively they've got enough to slow down Coastal Carolina.
And right now, you look at the national stats from the NCAA as far as the three FBS teams in our state, and Clemson, the Clemson offense is ranked 117th nationally, total offense. Defense number 28. USC is ranked 116th in offense and 26th on defense. And Coastal, number 6 in total offense nationally and number 16 in total defense. So
put up over 500 yards against Louisiana Monroe and rushed for over 200 against the team that prior to Saturday was allowing just 79 a ball game, 76, I think it was, on the ground per ball game.
All right, and the latest college football championship odds from Bet Online: Alabama, Georgia 8-5, Ohio State, Oklahoma 12-1. Michigan and Penn State 25-1. It was a strange weekend. I mean, a lot of, can you believe that kind of stuff? I mean, could you believe what Tennessee did going out to Missouri, Mississippi State going out to Texas A&M, Oregon going out and losing, and Cincinnati going into Notre Dame and winning. And now you've got Penn State, you've got Iowa up there, you've got Cincinnati, along with, of course, Oklahoma and Alabama and Georgia, and the way Alabama handled Ole Miss, and Georgia just looks unbeatable. I mean, Georgia just looks backup quarterback. They score 30-some-odd points. They don't give up any points against a team that came in red hot. It was that kind of weekend around the country in the SEC.
Phil, they, to me, were the most impressive of everybody over the weekend. I watched a good bit of the first half of the Georgia game. Arkansas could not do anything against that defense. It looked like the Clemson game in rewind once again, except Georgia was able to score virtually every time they touched the football. I'm not sure we're not in a situation right now where Alabama and Georgia ought to go ahead and be moved into the national championship game and everybody else play for third.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Corn.
That's what it's boiled down to.
I found this so fascinating. Everybody go to SportsTalkSC.com. Look back on your story when the top 25 came out over the weekend. Wake Forest is the highest ranked ACC team. I don't know. I mean, I assume Eisenhower was president the last time this took place.
I think every pandemic, Wake Forest gets in the top 25. I think that's kind of how it works. So, hey, a reminder, of course, if you got us over the air on one of our affiliates around the state, and that's great. Love to have you there with our radio affiliates. They're the best. If you lose us for whatever reason, you can always get our stream. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook when Facebook is working. And we're on Twitter as well. Our Twitter is at SportsTalkSC. The others are Sports Talk Media Network. Take you right to our sites, and you can pull those up. And, of course, we have the audio stream on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. Go to the navigation bar and click on the link where it says listen to Sports Talk Stream, and you can get us that way as well. Just a reminder from your friends here at Sports Talk. And, of course, everything we do, the entire show, elements of the show, we put those in podcast form for you, and they're up after the show, within a few minutes after the show. That's presented by Florence Darlington Tech, and you can check all that out where our podcasts are put to bed, which are at SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts and also at Spotify. All right, back to your phone calls, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Billy in Simpsonville. Make that Somerville. Billy in Somerville. Welcome in, Billy. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Phil?
We're good, thank you.
I got three things. First of all, Urban Meyer. I won't say not so fast, my friend. How y'all think that is over the weekend with the story with him? And how much in the deer in the headlights did you see when he was giving the interview today?
I didn't see the interview. I can only imagine, what he's having to deal with, the personal embarrassment of having to answer questions about all that, and the explanation / excuse that he put out there. And it's just something he's going to have to weather the storm. And some people question, well, that's his own personal issue, has nothing to do with his football team and coaching the football team, and all depends on how his owners feel about it. And apparently he said he talked with them, and nothing has happened as of now about it. So apparently they are willing to accept his explanation and feel like it doesn't impact the players or the football team overall, and they're apparently willing to move forward with him at this time.
All right, two more things. First of all, with the season left with Carolina, and the offense is still questionable. We make too many bonehead penalties, especially the defense. But defense did win the game for a Saturday. Do you think there's a possibility that Carolina could still win 3 more games and make bowl eligibility? Because the East is just not as strong as what it looked like it was going to be before the beginning of the year.
Yeah. All right, thank you for your phone call. Well, you look at the remaining schedule, and the Kentucky loss after Kentucky went out and beat Florida the way they did with no offense. Kentucky had, 240-something yards of offense, I think it was, on Saturday, and still beat Florida. And, you talk about somebody who's getting the heat. I think, Dan Mullen's getting more heat for being undressed at Kentucky than Urban Meyer is getting for probably wanting to be undressed wherever he was. Hello.
Rack him.
Well done, sir.
Anyway.
Well done.
That was not a corn vision, by the way. I was not envisioning that. But anyway, where was I? Vanderbilt looks very winnable. Heck, Texas A&M gets beaten at home by Mississippi State and does very little on offense. They've got issues. But you know what?
I think
it's
Mississippi
really not about
State, though, Phil.
Let me say this. It's really not about what's left on the agenda. Okay, look, Clemson is, maybe they're beatable. Auburn looks really good after their win down at LSU. Bo Nix played probably his best game ever at Auburn. Florida is struggling. Texas A&M is struggling. Tennessee, they had a great game this past week. They've shown some vulnerability in some areas. Tion Evans had a great game, the kid out of Hartsville for Tennessee, 150-something yards rushing. My point is, it's more about the Gamecocks now, and they've got to raise their level. And that's the question, guys. Can they raise their level of performance and execution for 60 minutes to just play at a higher level, especially on offense, than they had to this point? If they can elevate their level of performance, they can win some of these games.
Well, I think that's the case, but the problem they've got, and Smitty can speak to this a lot better than I can, but the stupid penalties that they have and just the mental mistakes. Shane Beamer's got to figure out a way to get those out of their team. The Troy game should not have been as close as it was. You cannot literally fumble away a touchdown the way they did in that ball game and have the defense play as well as it did and then give away a touchdown that keeps Troy in the ball game. They've got to find a way, Smitty, don't you think, to cut out and that's the first to me, that's the first lesson that Shane Beamer's got to get to his team. We've got to stop giving the opponent, whomever it is, extra opportunities.
Yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, obviously, after watching them slop it up a little bit. And what they did continuously is they would be in a position where they would make a good play and then give it back. You know, if you've got 2nd and 1 and you've got a defense on its heels, then get a false start or a holding penalty. As a matter of fact, there's a tweet. I was tweeting during the game, and near the end, I had tweeted out, avoiding disaster, South Carolina has Parker White set up here for a game-clinching field goal. Well, the very next play was a 10-yard holding penalty, and they had to go get those yards back on the next play to get back into field goal range. Those are just absolute killers. And I know Shane Beamer is pulling his hair out. I mean, here's somebody who grew up around football. He's not expecting those players to lack that type of discipline. It's just a growing process for all of these players. And there was a bad exchange on a handoff on 3rd down and short or 2nd and short late in the game. Those things are just crushing them right now. Again, if you go and look at it yard for yard, South Carolina should be able to go up to Rocky Top and play with Tennessee. Their defense, their special teams should travel. They should go up and play. But I don't know how you count on this offense going up there and punching it in the red zone when they need to in crucial spots. That's not what we've seen through 5 games with South Carolina. The next time they do it, and they do it consistently against a reasonable, living, breathing opponent, will be the first time they've done it this season.
You're exactly right. You look at the Gamecocks statistically, nationally, 3rd down conversion, they're 97th in the country. Okay, that's not good. 4th down conversion, which they tried that a lot, they're 69th in the country. So that's not good. Let's take a look at their red zone offense numbers. And their red zone, you know what? Their red zone offense, 29th in the country. That's not awful. 4th in the SEC.
How many of those are touchdowns, though, Phil, versus field goals?
I'd have to dig a little deeper into my bag of statistics, so give me a second to do that. After the break, I'll tell you what those are, Mr. Bergen, since you asked. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. We'll continue with your calls after the break, putting together the recruiting report as well, as we'll tell you in detail what Oscar Delp told us in detail about his visit to South Carolina and what's ahead for him. All that coming up and more here on Sports Talk the Monday after. Back in a moment.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
You know, the football season is a long, hard grind, okay? I mean, it takes it out of you. You need, like Clemson fans, you've got an off week now. You got some time to get away. Gamecock fans, your off week's coming. Coastal fans, others, your time's coming. And before you know it, the season will be over. You need some recovery time. You need somewhere to go to recover. How about the beach? And how about give James Smith Realty a call next time you're thinking about a few days or a week or longer at the beach? You don't have a property, okay, and maybe you don't want to stay in a hotel, but you want to stay in a nice condo or a nice house, and you want to have a great price and a great experience. Jimmy Smith can handle all of that for you. His phone number is 843-237-4246. Their website, pauliesvacationrentals.com. Of course, they handle Paulie's and Litchfield on into Surfside, Garden City, down to Myrtle Beach. You can go even south to Georgetown, Debadoo, all those spots over there. They can handle property for you. Hey, you want to buy a piece of land or an established property? Then give Jimmy a call as well. They can handle all of that. They do it professionally, and they do it with your best interest at heart. 843-237-4246 is the phone number. pauliesvacationrentals.com on the web. That's Jimmy Smith, James Smith Realty, for your perfect beach getaway. All right, recruiting coming up in a little bit. Couple lines are open. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. We go back to your phone calls. Pat tells us Wake Forest in 2006 was the highest ranked ACC team. They were 18th in the country that year.
I was just poking fun back at us. Smitty mentioned it might have to go back to the Eisenhower campaign then, or presidency. Now I thought it happened sometime, and they lost in the Orange Bowl to Louisville and Charlie Strong that year. But that was when Louisville was still in the Big East.
Oh, we have to go back. So we have to go back to 06 before Charlie Strong was relevant.
Well, he was becoming relevant at Louisville at that time.
They reached the Orange Bowl that year.
Yeah. Let's go to Alex in Myrtle Beach. Alex, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you? Good to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm wonderful. I'd be on cloud 9, but cloud 8 because I'm a Gamecock fan. And Boston College should have won that. I don't want to get on that. But I'll be on cloud 20 if Boston College would have won. But listen, I'm a Gamecock fan. And I would say, but I'm living here in Myrtle Beach. I love the coast of Carolina, Chanticleers. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's what college football is all about. And I hear people say, oh, they're ranked ahead of Auburn and Florida. But, I don't care. Now, I really don't care. I mean, and actually, I think I've met some of the players. I live here. They're just good football players. They're big, they're good, strong, and, I love it. I can't tell you, as a Gamecock fan, I'm also a Chanticleer fan.
Oh, okay. Let me just see one sec. Is there room on that bandwagon? Knock on the door. Hey, any room in that bandwagon for Alex? Hey, jump on board, Alex. There's a little bit of room left.
All right, thank you. I'll be on board with it. And I would say, listen, I stopped watching. I didn't watch TV anymore. All I do, I work and listen to radio and listen to your show. But go Shan, love your show. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate your phone call. 888-898-2525. Yeah, there's still room on that bandwagon. Chris, didn't they have a record crowd on Saturday?
They actually did, and in the past couple of weeks, they had posted, I believe, actual ticket sales, not necessarily actual attendance, but the 18,000 that they posted on Saturday was actual attendance. They had that place nearly full. It was awesome to see, and I think the bandwagon is plenty big for Alex and everybody else who wants to jump on board with that football team. And he's right. They have very talented players. This is not a fluke. This is a really, really good football team Jamie Chadwell has compiled. And if you have not seen them play, they're going to be on ESPNU on Thursday night. Take a peek at this team and just give a solid, if you're a Gamecock or a Clemson fan, judging based off our Twitter poll from last week, could the Chanticleers actually beat the Gamecocks or Tigers? Watch for yourself. If you have not seen them play, watch Thursday and then make your own assessment because this is a really, really good football team. They really are. And I don't care whether they're G5 or Power 5. They're a good football team.
But they're always going to have to fight when you talk to Gamecock and Tiger fans. They're always going
No
to have
doubt.
to fight that perception of, well, they don't play anybody. And even when you play outside your league, you played a lousy, terrible, awful Kansas team.
Sure.
And,
no doubt.
you know, there's just, and then your league right now is, you know, it's not real good. Appalachian State's good. You're good. Louisiana's good. You don't play Louisiana in the regular season this year. So you got Appalachian coming up. That's going to be the telltale coming up in a little. That's on a Wednesday night, right?
Yes, it is.
What a
week
sucky
from,
time to
2
play
weeks
that
from
game.
Wednesday. Yeah,
That's just
I know.
a terrible time.
It really is. But if you want to use, and I hate to do this, I hate to say, well, Team A beat Team B and Team B beat Team C, so therefore Team A should beat Team C. But if you want a point of reference, Louisiana Monroe, who who Coastal played this past weekend, beat Troy by 13 points 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Troy gave South Carolina everything they could handle this past weekend. Coastal beat that same Louisiana Monroe team by 50. So, I mean, could the Gamecocks, could the Chanticleers play with the Gamecocks? I think so.
If Jamar Brown, you know, knew that the 1 yard line is not the end zone. I mean, if he actually knew that, you can throw 7 more points on the board there for the Gamecocks. You know, that's just, you know, that's not thinking. God, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if I were a coach, I would just absolutely go berserk. What is the deal? And this has happened too many times in all levels of football. Too many at one time is too many. Can you not wait until the end zone to showboat? I mean, it's just one more step, and you can be cool. You can do your little toss and do whatever you want to do. One more step. You can't. Whatever happened to running through the end zone to get your touchdown? Remember they used to tell you run to the back of the end zone?
And further, Phil, I want to make this point because this is something you brought up last week about South Carolina having some dumb penalties for a team that was coming off a 2-win season. I don't know exactly what this is because obviously we're not inside the locker room with the guys. But that level of almost borderline arrogance for a team that doesn't win very often or doesn't blow teams out very often is so misplaced. I don't know how you would get the message around to the guys that, you know, by the way, and Chris brought this up during the break, there were only 50 to 60,000 people in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that is on the build. Your best days are supposed to be ahead of you. You would think this team would be humble and hungry, that their attitude would be, hey, we just did something good, and that's just the beginning. There is so much more to build upon, but they act like a team oddly. It reminds me of when Miami coming off the heels of its greatness and the 5 national titles in a 25-year period, and then they still were committing stupid penalties when they were like 4-8. The same penalties. It just doesn't make sense. There's a level of braggadociousness to this team that seems so misplaced since they've won 6 games in 2 years coming into this one, and now they're 3-2 with wins over Troy, East Carolina, and Eastern Illinois. I don't know how you get that out of a team.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. The attendance was just kind of sad for South Carolina. That's all I'm going to say. I've talked about attendance over the years, and, you know, that's just sad. Now, look, they only sold 40,000 season tickets, okay? So that number was down to begin with going into the season. They only sold 40,000 season tickets. So that means there's plenty of tickets available for walk-ups. And then apparently, according to Beamer, from what he said yesterday, encouraging people who have tickets, if you're not going to use them, give them to somebody who will use them. I mean, that's kind of embarrassing to put your first-year coach in that position to kind of say, hey, help us out here. Let's use these tickets. But, you know, they are what they are. And South Carolina fans are basically right now in the show me, wait and see mode. And when you get good, I'll come back. Until you start beating some people and winning some big games, I'm not going to be there. How many will they have for a homecoming for Vanderbilt for a 4:00 kickoff when they have that in a couple of weeks, you know? just saying, if you're going to support your team, you got to support them, especially right now while it's still a chance for a good season, a decent season, and it's a new regime and an encouraging regime. All right, top of the hour. We'll be back.
Where we do what's supposed to happen here. Thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Today marks the start of the first full term of the Supreme Court with a 6-3 conservative majority.
The court begins its session complete with Justice Amy Coney Barrett, the crowning achievement of the GOP-controlled Senate and President Trump in the waning days of his administration. The court will put fresh eyes on several key topics in coming months. One case involves a Mississippi abortion law that crosses swords with Roe versus Wade. Another would be a pivotal case involving gun rights, and one that could set a new tone in the debate over government funding for religious schools. Bob Agnew reporting.
President Biden on Monday told Republican senators to get out of the way and let Democrats suspend the nation's debt limit on their own. That brought a response from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who said then Senator Joe Biden voted in the past against raising the debt limit in protest of GOP spending.
As I reminded the president in a letter just this morning, his sentiments then are our sentiments now.
Congress faces an October 18th deadline to allow for more borrowing to keep the government operating after having accrued a total public debt of $28.4 trillion. President Biden is downplaying the public harassment of two Senate Democrats who are blocking his agenda.
Over the weekend, activists disrupted a lecture Senator Kristen Sinema was giving at Arizona State University and followed her into a bathroom. Protesters also showed up at Senator Joe Manchin's home in Washington, D.C. President Biden was asked about those confrontations.
I don't think they're appropriate tactics, but it happens to everybody.
Both senators have said they won't back a $3.5 trillion spending bill.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. A massive global outage has plunged Facebook, its Instagram, and WhatsApp platforms, and many people who rely heavily on those services into chaos on Monday. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 323 points. More at townhall.com.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Marquette Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have two cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you'll want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cat to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
The first United Nations fact-finding mission to Libya has concluded that violations that could amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity have been committed across the country.
Dozens of different armed groups battling for control of Libya have attacked schools, hospitals and homes with no regard to the lives of civilians. Migrants and refugees from sub-Saharan Africa are subjected to violent abuse that could amount to crimes against humanity. The report also describes horrific conditions in secret prisons in which detainees are tortured on a daily basis. The UN investigators reviewed hundreds of documents and interviewed over 150 people in Libya, Tunisia and Italy.
BBC correspondent Imogene Folks reporting. The country has deteriorated since the overthrow of former strongman Muammar Gaddafi. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy this evening with rain chances increasing. Tomorrow, look for a 60% chance of scattered showers and a high temp of 83. More rain likely for Wednesday and Thursday. Heavy at times. high temps in the low 80s. The weekend looks better with less chance of rain and cooler temps. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, number 1.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, we're back here. It's the Monday after here on Sports Talk. Monday after a big weekend of sports that really wrapped up today with the race at Talladega that was rain delayed, and even the race today, they could not get in all 188 laps. They called the race after 118 laps because of the weather. So Bubba Wallace, a non-playoff contender, he gets the win. Brad Keselowski was second, Joey Logano third, Kurt Busch fourth, Christopher Bell finishes fifth. Then it was Chris Buescher, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, and Anthony Alfredo. That's your top 10 after today's race. And I know that we were talking off air, and Chris was not happy with the way this thing ended with laps to go, 70 laps to go. It's a playoff race. He has issues with NASCAR's rule here.
I have a lot of issues with NASCAR all the time, Phil, and this is just one of a myriad of things. First off, it's really cool to see Bubba Wallace win. There's a lot of reasons his victory, especially at Talladega, is important historically for the sport of NASCAR. But all of that being said, there's no way you can stop a playoff game or race in the seventh inning or the early moments of the fourth quarter, because it's ridiculous for especially guys who are in the playoffs trying to battle for a spot in the next round. Let's take Christopher Bell, for instance. He was running fifth when the rain came in and stopped the race. If he were able to maneuver himself up and perhaps win the race, he gets into the next round. Chances of him winning at the Roval this coming week in Charlotte are slim. He's probably not going to advance. Bubba Wallace is not going to advance because he wasn't in the playoffs. For NASCAR, and as much as NASCAR wants to try and portray itself as a stick and ball sports, it wants to be like football. It wants to be like basketball. It wants to be like baseball that has a playoff. I use the analogy here. Could you imagine tomorrow night in the AL wildcard game, your beloved Yankees sitting there in the seventh inning, trailing the Boston Red Sox by a score of 5-4, in a monsoon,
winning 5-4,
in a monsoon ensues, and they just say, "Well, Boston was ahead. The game's official. Let's move on. Boston, you go on." That would never fly. How in the world does NASCAR allow? I can understand during the regular season, but this is supposed to be your playoffs. You cannot stop the race. I get it. It's an outdoor sport and they can't run in the rain, but come back tomorrow. You've got to finish every playoff race. And this is one of 100 things that NASCAR does poorly. And again, it's just, to me, there's no excuse for allowing a playoff race to stop nearly 70 laps shy of a finish.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
You make a
and
good
I'll
point.
be curious,
I think you make an excellent argument. Take it up with Mr. Tharp tomorrow.
I just don't understand how NASCAR can sit there and say, well, this is good. And I wonder how much having Bubba Wallace sitting there in the lead when the rain came, considering what happened to him at Talladega with the noose and all the different things that occurred the last time they were in Talladega with him, that it's a great story. There's no question. First black driver to win a race in, gosh, who knows how
63.
long. Yep. But still, that should not trump the fact that you cannot stop a playoff. If you're going to be a stick and ball sport, which is what NASCAR wants to portray itself as, you cannot stop the race shy of its full distance. You just can't.
That's a good argument. I think you've won me over. I think you're exactly right. Good points.
Of course,
I think if that I think at that point you go to penalty kicks.
Yeah. You know what I think you go to? It is Talladega. I think you go to Demolition Derby.
Yes,
And
just put them in the infield.
Last car that can, go backwards across the start-finish line, with his fenders. Well, not even with fenders on, but running on its own will win. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number here on Sports Talk. Back to your phone calls. Couple of lines are open. We've got some Dabo Swinney comments we're going to get to as well because he didn't do his conference call last night. He did his only in-state local media session of the week since they're off this week. Today, we'll bring you a few of his comments. Stephen in Columbia, you're up next here on Sports Talk. Welcome in.
Hey, Phil.
Hey.
Boy, he was fired up in that game, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Certainly was.
You talk about attendance. I know about last week after that loss, you were wondering how the Clemson faithful was going to react and if they were going to show up, knowing that we didn't really have anything to play for anymore, after the first two losses. It's been about 8 years. But how was that environment on Saturday?
Oh, it was awesome. It was as loud as I've heard it now. One thing about being in the press box at Clemson is it's open and you're sitting at I've got students blocking my view. I'm sitting right there in the student section. And so you get the entire effects of the crowd at Clemson, and they were championship level. Their team might not be, but the fans were championship level. And I think it hurt Boston College multiple times. I mean, they had that one series late in the game where they had a player downfield on a pass penalty and then back-to-back procedure penalties. They lost 20 yards from good field position, and I think the crowd had something to do with those procedure penalties. I think the crowd impacted Grossell on the last snap where he mishandled the snap because the play clock was winding down. He was trying to get his players set. He was trying to call out the play. It was louder than heck. I think all that helped to create that turnover that saved the day for Clemson.
Yeah, I think the fans were outstanding. And, to say they're out of it, if you realize, how good Boston College probably really is. I mean, they very rarely give up any sacks. And, we handled our business there. We lost a lot more players. But you realize if Boston College beats NC State, then the tiebreaker goes to the highest record, and we might be in the ACC championship. And who knows from there,
Wait a minute. If if it's a three-way tie.
That's right. If Boston College beats NC State, it'd be a three-way tie, and then it goes to the highest ranked team.
That's right. You're right about that. That's true. That's a good point. So, what Clemson needs is obviously for that to happen.
What about Wake Forest, though?
Yeah, don't forget about Wake Forest. Good point. But you played Wake Forest.
Still playing to play for.
Yeah, they can handle Wake Forest themselves. They can deal with Wake Forest. So, yeah, you look at.
But if Wake only has one loss, they would be in that round robin tiebreaker, though. Correct?
Yeah, but he's talking about he expects Clemson to be the highest ranked team at that point, if that were to happen. Even though the Tigers dropped out of the top 25 for the first time since November of 2014. With that, I'm a little surprised the voters gave Clemson the old heave-ho there, coming off a win. That was not a bad win. That was not a bad win by any means. Boston College is not a bad team. That offensive line is really good, and as a backup quarterback, he was excellent. And they got some speed on the flanks. That was not a bad win for Clemson.
No, they moved up in the FBI power rankings for ESPN and out of the AP poll. So I guess they don't, pay attention to Boston College and the Clemson game. They just look at the final score.
Well, do you agree with my vision that I announced tonight? Clemson will average over, rest of the way, they'll average over 400 yards and over 27 points per game.
I don't know. I wasn't that impressed with the offense this game, but they got to get better every week. So hopefully you're right.
Okay. They had 400, and thank you for your phone call. What they have Saturday, 434 yards in total offense, 438. They averaged 6.4 yards per play, and they took they had big plays, and they took their shots. The average completion for Clemson was right at 16 yards of completion. That's more like it. That's more what you're used to in the Clemson offense. I'm telling you, I think it's starting to come on, and people just need to be a little bit patient. But I'll give the Clemson fans their due. They came out about 80,000, and they were into it. They were really into the ball game, and they helped their team. They really helped their team. All right,
Phil,
thank you for your
two things
phone
about
call.
the Clemson game real quick. First off, his wide receivers, and I'm talking about Uyunglele, dropped several opportunities, and that game should not necessarily have been as close as it was. I think Ngata dropped one right around the 5-yard line as the Tigers were going in for a touchdown. And secondly, you talked about the attendance, and Dabo Swinney said numerous times after the game how big an impact the crowd was. And you weigh the two fan bases, the Gamecocks and the Tigers fan bases. Which one right now has a reason to be disappointed and maybe not show up for their team, if you will? It's got to be Clemson, right? Because they're not used to being in a scenario like this. Both teams have the same record, but South Carolina's actually has won more games now than they won all of last year. And for the Tiger fans to come in and fill that place, I understand it was homecoming, but still, for them to show up the way they did, that's a credit to that fan base. And South Carolina and the Gamecocks could take a page out of that, because what are you not showing up to see your team play for?
I was going to agree with you, Chris, and Corn, you said it earlier. Gamecock fans are in a wait-and-see mode. That's new, though. South Carolina fans were excited at the outset of the Muschamp era, the Spurrier era, the Holtz era. I don't quite remember how it was in about 1982 after Bell left and then Morrison came in, but I assume the attendance was pretty good in 83. I'm just looking back at I know they were excited at the outset of the Brad Scott era. I don't remember a time, Corn, when a new head coach for South Carolina has gotten this little support in terms of in-game attendance right away in the first 3 home games.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And, I mean, look, Beamer's doing everything he can to sell the program, to be enthusiastic, to push positivity. I don't know what the fans want, to be honest with you. I mean, if it were 60,000 there Saturday, that means there are about 17,000 empty seats. Now, some of that is because the opponent really didn't bring anybody. But, I mean, it's up to yourself. It's up to the fans of the team to come out and support their own team and not base attendance on who the opponent is. We'll be back.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology, known as SIMT, is ready to meet your 3D printing, machining, and social media listening needs. Our list of clients includes business and industrial partners from around the state, the nation, and the globe. In addition, we are providing social media listening services to a variety of businesses and educational institutions, from large companies to law firms to small rural school districts. The SIMT also rents space for training, conferences, and trade shows. Catering services are available for events being held at the SIMT. We are dedicated to customer service and look forward to serving you. Check us out on the web at simt.com to see a full list of our manufacturing services, or give us a call at 843-413-2740.
All South Carolinians are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. For help finding a vaccine location in your area, visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110. COVID-19 vaccines are free and don't require ID or insurance. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110 to find a vaccine location near you.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
Well, a little Talking Tuesday here on this Monday after, since there is no Clemson regular press conference tomorrow, since it's an off week. Dabo Swinney did a conference call with the media late this afternoon, didn't do one last night. Here's a few minutes of what Swinney had to say. Of course, he's recapping the win over Boston College and talking about this off week ahead for his team as they start to get ready for Syracuse.
Just proud of our guys. Proud of the staff and just how everybody responded, to get a huge win. And as I've said all year, our team's will to win is special. It's a resilient bunch, and just a lot of good things in the game. Still a long way to go, but definitely our most complete game to this point. From a penalty standpoint, fundamentals, ball security, the little things that we've been talking about. And just work together a lot better. But again, a lot of room for improvement. But really proud, and that's of how they responded and battled. Defensively and offensively, the key was going to be winning the line of scrimmage, and we did that on both sides. We stopped the run, and we got the run game going. So it was definitely a difference in the game, and. We affected the quarterback, the turnover, we were +3 in the margin, a much better penalty discipline, and our depth came through. We got a lot of guys playing that necessarily hadn't played a lot or didn't expect to be playing a lot at this point. So I'm proud of that. Big moment for the defense too. One of the bigger plays was the block punt. We got the 3 and out. Had a lot of PBUs. Probably the biggest negative was it was our worst game pass defense wise. We didn't do a great job with our eyes and leverage and some of our drops off the play action and just too many yards after the catch and a couple of big play busts, but a lot of good things overall. And then offensively, again, very balanced, almost 16 yards of completion and almost 6 yards of carry. I thought with no turnovers, no sacks, the offensive line played outstanding. I'm really, really proud of those guys. They really is by far our best game communication wise, targeting, covering guys up. And as a result, we got the run game going and 20 was outstanding. Maffa was great. Really proud of those guys. DJ probably had his best game as far as just managing the pocket. So a lot of good stuff, and really, it doesn't really show up in the stat sheet, but there were several times the offense was backed up and, we didn't necessarily go score, but we got the ball off the goal line and created great field position for our defense. 100-yard rusher, 100-yard receiver, probably the biggest disappointment. It's a good thing and a bad thing. It's good that Phil Potter got a lot of field goal work because he's been on ice all year. So that's going to be huge for him and his confidence and our whole battery going out there. But that's the biggest disappointment is we just missed some real opportunities to put the game away. We had some critical drops. We had some missed throws. And a couple of short yards we've been really, really good. That's one area we've been really good at. And we missed a couple of those. Again, a lot that we can improve on, but really proud of the team, how they competed and how they responded. Open dates coming at a good time for us. We're a mashed unit, as I said the other night. We got a lot of guys that we have a hard time probably playing this week. So I feel like we'll be in good shape come Sunday. So big week for us to get a head start on Syracuse, to get ourselves, healthy, and do a lot of staff work as well. Biggest loss from the game was Will Taylor. He did tear his ACL, and just been a crazy year from that standpoint. And just like most ACLs, non-contact, just kind of stick your foot in the ground, and seen it a million times. But he's a resilient young man, and we've had a lot of success with guys getting back around here. You look at Amari Rogers tore his ACL right there spring, and 4.5 months later he was playing against Georgia Tech in the opener. So hopefully we'll be able to get back and get some of the baseball season in this spring. But no doubt he'll come back better than ever.
Coach, Trevor Gross from CUTigers.com. You said that Justin Ross had a head injury as well as Galloway. Are they doing fine?
Yeah, Galloway and Ross are doing good. Galloway was, I think, a little more, concussed. Ross, he got hit right there in the head area, and with his situation, obviously they're going to be very precautious with him. But he's good and looked great today. So feel good about that.
Dabo, this is Grace from The Athletic. You said Saturday night that you felt like DJ really grew up in that Boston College game. Just what specifically did you see that made you feel that way?
Well, first of all, he's made his presence known in the run game. He actually still left a little bit out there. There was a couple of plays I thought he had a little bit more to get, but he's making his presence known in the run game, which is really good. He's starting to really kind of hit his stride there, and he's a problem. It's a big, strong man that's hard to get down, and so he's in that, getting the run game creates some things in the pass game, and that's what we haven't been able to do is run the football. But that's a lot of that's just been miscommunication, just a lot of fundamental stuff, honestly. And we just really, we really played well up front. I can't tell you how proud I was of those guys. And but DJ's legs, and then how he managed the pocket. That's the best he's been in the pocket. Really did some really good things there. I'm pleased with that. So just made good decisions. Took care of the football, and so I'm really proud of him. He missed some throws. Still, there's still some. He missed a couple of touchdown opportunities, and then we had a couple dropped as well. So still got a lot of work that we need to do to get really dialed in where we can be the type of offense we want to be. But I just thought his mindset, what he did with his legs, how he managed the pocket, how he took care of the football, I just thought he did. It was a really good step forward for him.
All right, there you go, Dabo Swinney from earlier this afternoon. That'll be the last. Of course, I think he has his show following us tonight on their network, but I think that'll be the last media session with him for this week. Quickly, we go to John in Greenville. We got 1st and 10 with Zach Willis coming up. John, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear.
Hey, yeah, I'm not sure how to follow up on the press conference from Dabo. Sounded like he was leaving a funeral, but I wanted to touch on the attendance at the South Carolina game this past Saturday. Can we still talk about that?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm a big Gamecock fan, supporter, forever Gamecock club member. Up until we lost to Virginia in the bowl game a few years ago, it was ready for Muschamp to be gone. And I'm a big supporter of Shane Beamer. I think he is definitely the future of our program. And I just wanted to say that I think the attendance doesn't have anything to do with Beamer. The attendance has to do with these inflated ticket prices. It's just gotten absolutely out of hand the last several years. They want to make you pay your Gamecock club dues, then they want to charge you $150, $195 seat selection, and then you want to pay face value for all the tickets. Well, every game is on TV. I mean, we can watch every game on TV. And so, I just didn't want any kind of negativity coming off the show tonight because of the attendance at the game Saturday. And I just thought that it needed to be brought to attention because it's the first thing I noticed when the game came on. I was embarrassed that both upper decks were empty. But let's just face it, the ticket values are just, they're astronomical. It's ridiculous for a family of 5 to go to the game. You're looking at, at least $200 for tickets.
I understand. Hey, we got to run. Thank you for making that point. A very good argument from you. We'll be back.
Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy this evening with rain chances increasing. Tomorrow, look for a 60% chance of scattered showers and a high temp of 83. More rain likely for Wednesday and Thursday. Heavy at times. High temps in the low 80s. The weekend looks better with less chance of rain and cooler temps. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point Local Weather.
Hey, Tiger fans, it's not too late to purchase your Clemson football tickets. Lock in your seat for one of our remaining home games by visiting ClemsonTigers.com/football tickets. That's your one-stop shop for tickets, schedule, and game day designations. Be sure and act now as tickets are going fast. So come back home to Clemson, and we'll see you in Death Valley cheering on our Tigers. That's ClemsonTigers.com/football tickets.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Authorities say a Drug Enforcement Administration special agent was killed when a passenger opened fire as officers were doing a routine inspection for illegal contraband on an Amtrak train in Tucson, Arizona. A second agent and a Tucson police officer were also wounded in the shooting Monday aboard the Sunset Limited train from Los Angeles to New Orleans. Tucson Police Chief Chris Magnus says officers were detaining a man on the upper level of the car when a second man pulled out a handgun and began firing. The gunman exchanged several rounds with police and was later found dead in the bathroom. There were no other injuries. The train was carrying 137 passengers and 11 crew members. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 323 points. The Nasdaq dropped 311. The S&P lower by 56. This is SRN News.
Now, who could that be?
It's Dominion Energy. I signed us up for a home energy checkup. It's time we learn how to save energy and money.
Well, how much does it cost?
Not a dime. It's free, and it only takes about an hour. Plus, we get a report on things we can do to make our home more energy efficient.
I don't know. Sounds too good to be true.
No. See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you? I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online, it's simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044, and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
Football is back. And this year, the Citadel is trying to be top dog.
Get in here! I got one thing to say. This is when the big dogs come out. Okay? You can't run with the big dogs. Stay on the board.
Touchdown, Bulldogs! Fire those cannons. The Bulldogs are back.
The Citadel Bulldogs, all season long on 100.7 The Point.
Deer season is here and we all want to be successful, but our safety should come first.
A simple way to stay safe is to wear blaze orange as you walk to and from your stand.
Probably the best way to stay safe is to wear a safety harness.
Put it on, hook it up to a lifeline, and let the tree keep you safe from a fall during your hunt.
Lastly, always use your binoculars and not your rifle scope to look at and identify things while you're deer hunting. Woods and Water, South Carolina, your host Roger and Taylor Metz want you to be around to enjoy many deer seasons to come.
Just remember, the accident you might prevent, the life you might save, just might be your own.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
All right, we're back here on Sports Talk. Yeah, we understand the question from the caller about the ticket prices. Never will ever condemn somebody for not wanting to pay the price. I mean, they are expensive for many of the games. Now, the Troy ticket, I don't have it right in front of me, but I mean, it's probably half the price of the Kentucky ticket. Yet they had somewhere near capacity for the Kentucky game and well off capacity for the Troy game. Now, and he's exactly right. There are auxiliary expenses that go along with being able to buy season tickets. Everything else has to go along with it, the parking, et cetera, et cetera. It does become pricey. But again, you know, it's the price you pay. I hate to say it. It's the price you pay for having a major college football program these days. It's not just South Carolina. You know, everybody that plays at that level has expensive ticket prices. Every single one of them, for the most part, has expensive ticket prices, and the prices go up for the best games. So,
And Phil, I don't know that we should throw this out there as an excuse or a condemnation of the fans, but South Carolina had probably its biggest targets in attendance in terms of recruiting, and Oscar Delp on Saturday for that ball game. Now, he said all the right things when you talked to him Saturday after the game about how the fans were crazy and it was an awesome atmosphere. But he goes to watch Georgia play South Carolina in Athens and sees 90+ thousand people there. And then he shows up to watch South Carolina play Troy and he sees 58, 59,000 there. I mean, outside of the win-loss record, I mean, where would you, if you're an 18-year-old kid, where would you want to go play?
well, yeah, and being from Georgia. We'll talk more about that when I get to recruiting. Jim Corbett, Gentleman Jim, just texted me to say $25 for the Troy ticket. I think it was a Troy ticket he was talking about there, $25. Let's welcome in a man who's never had to buy a ticket because he was a player and a coach. They don't have to buy tickets. They give you the reason to buy the tickets. It's the coach, Zach Willis, 1st and 10 here on Sports Talk. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I couldn't be better, Phil. How you doing tonight?
We're good. Good to have you with us. All right, let's dive right into it. And let's begin with Clemson, Boston College, and the Tigers pulled out that win and got a little bit of a break towards the end. Who knows what would have happened if BC hadn't fumbled that ball away towards the end, but they're not making any excuses or apologizing. They're taking the W. I said earlier tonight, I thought this offense was getting a little bit better. They might have found something in the running game. And I think Uyangalele is starting to settle in. Still got some work to do, obviously, but is starting to settle in. What'd you see? Are they moving in the right direction, or what direction are they moving in?
I saw some good things. I saw some better things. And the thing is, you got to remember they played a good team. Played Boston College. Boston College is undefeated. You can't say 4-0 is a fluke. I mean, they're a solid team, and they always have given Clemson a tough way to go. These interconference games, those ACC teams, and people can talk trash about them. They're not afraid of Clemson. They see Clemson every year. They know they're going to. They're used to playing them, and it shows. And I think that, there were some big runs. I felt like Dabo really brought the intensity, jumped on pace, and he responded with a big run. Offensive line came out of the gate more physical. DJ's still struggling. And the passing game, I feel like the receivers, there's been a loss of confidence there. They're not just doubting him, they're doubting themselves a little bit, maybe a little bit of lack of concentration on a couple of drop passes. But overall, it was a great football game. Their defense, and Dabo was right about this, when you talk about defense and kicking game, those guys are as tough a bunch as you're going to find. Two marquee players out of the game, Skowski playing hurt, and they never gave up. They had a million reasons to give up all year long. The offense struggling, but championship programs don't do that, and they may not win a championship this year. The way it looks right now, you never know. But, buddy, the qualities are still there.
The offensive line, because of injuries and performance there. So they put Rayburn in at center, Bockhorst at the right guard, and went with the freshman Tate at the left guard spot. That seemed to work pretty well for them. Did that look like an improved area?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt. You and I talked about it. Physicality, pad level, and they changed their scheme a little bit. Coach Caldwell is really good at doing that. He's got a lot of input in what they do. Coach Elliott does a good job of listening. I know that staff at Carolina, I'm learning. I know a couple of the guys, but they work together, and they changed some things up. They ran a divide zone. That's what scored the big run. It's a spread version of it where DJ's going one way, the blocking scheme's going with him, and you kick out the backside tackle with basically a pass set block, and he broke it for a touchdown. That was a little bit of a wrinkle, and it worked, but they're a lot more physical up front than they had been. I thought pass protection was solid. DJ was actually able to hold the ball and get away with it. So they're baby steps. And, you know, Clemson's crowd, and I'll say this, when they need them to show up, they show up no matter what the price of the ticket is. Alabama, you could charge, I don't know, whatever, and they're going to show up. So I understand but $25 per ticket, come on now. You know, I don't want to get too involved in that, but that recruiting deal, and you guys have heard me talk about it, this recruit watching that and seeing all those empty seats, he's thinking about that. You know it, and I know it. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
All right. Let's shift to the Gamecocks. You're referring to them. They got the win over Troy. Doty looked like he took a step forward with his performance, 20 of 34, 255, a touchdown, but nothing in the running game. What's funny is the leading receiver in the game, well, there were really a tie for it, but Juju McDowell had 3, was a running back, and the leading rusher was a receiver, Josh Vann. Josh Vann also had 3 catches. So the most yardage they got in the running game was from those couple of reverses there or end arounds, whatever, with Josh Vann, 52 yards. They rushed for 101 yards net. So still a ways to go in their running game, indicating more struggles up front with the offensive line in the running game to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, we've been singing this song since early in Muschamp's tenure there, and he's gone. You can't blame him. I've had several fans, and, you know, guys out there, if you got, I'm on Facebook, you can look me up, Twitter, whatever. Just type in my name, Z-A-K Willis. You'll find me. I'll answer questions when I can. I don't argue, but a couple people asked me what's going on. It's a blocking scheme. Last year, they went to a gap scheme where they were down blocking people, and it allowed the linemen to get their pad level down. And it's easier blocks to make. And Harris had a big year for them. He's been injured, so he's off to a slow start, but the pad level's still up. The competition level was down, but they did what they had to do. The one thing I want to emphasize here, this is year one for a guy that's never caught a play in a game in Shane Beamer. Not putting him down, but we have to be patient with him. And remember this, he's won every game he's supposed to win. And that's not always been a given for Carolina or any program. That's why we have upsets. So far, I'd say, hey, look, they don't look great, but it's year one of coming off a really rough year, and they're taking baby steps just like Clemson. It's just in a different way. But a good, solid win for the Gamecocks.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, what do you do about the penalties? And I want to say specifically the ones on the offensive line. What do you do as a coach when you see that?
You got to simplify things. And that goes back to, last year, Mike Bobo, he did a lot of things that, we didn't really know about. But you've got to keep it simple for those guys. They don't need to be thinking too much. We've already seen a lot of struggles at left tackle. They don't really have one, I don't think. And you've got to make sure that that person gets some help, whether it's from a tight end or a running back staying in and just sending 4 guys into the route and making sure he gets help from him or the guard on his assignments. And then just making things simple and emphasizing the fundamentals, the low pads on the run game, the hands inside on the pass game and the run game, and making sure you know who you have. Keep it simple and try to keep things stable up front. Doty's a good player. Van is a difference maker, and so is Harris. And I think McDowell's a great change of pace guy. They got some talent, and let's just hope they can keep it close. You never know, they may pull an upset here or there and really get things going.
Zach, as always, great stuff. We appreciate the analysis and the breakdown, and have yourself a great rest of the week. We'll look forward to having you with us next week and talk about the Gamecocks in Tennessee up there on Rocky Top. We'll talk to you then.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Zach Willis, 1st and 10 with Zach. Tomorrow night's a Talking Tuesday. We'll have Shane Beamer, all Shane Beamer all the time tomorrow night since there's no Sweeney.
Jamie Chadwell, too.
Yeah. I forgot.
We got Jamie Chadwell
Yeah,
from today.
Of course, he did his thing today, but we'll run tomorrow. Kerry Tharp tomorrow night. Wednesday, Will and the Thrill. Always exciting. Thursday, Chalk Talk with Coach Reedy and Coach Johnson. And Friday, we let our hair down and just kick back and have a good time. Picking games, picking losers, winners, talking golf and racing. And we'll be back after the break.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology, known as SIMT, is ready to meet your 3D printing, machining, and social media listening needs. Our list of clients includes business and industrial partners from around the state, the nation, and the globe. In addition, we are providing social media listening services to a variety of businesses and educational institutions, from large companies to law firms to small rural school districts. The SIMT also rents space for training, conferences, and trade shows. Catering services are available for events being held at the SIMT. We are dedicated to customer service and look forward to serving you. Check us out on the web at simt.com to see a full list of our manufacturing services, or give us a call at 843-413-2740.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
All right, time for the recruiting report tonight, brought to you by Seawells. I do have a vision of getting to Seawells this week. That's one of my goals, is to have a delicious lunch at Seawells. Maybe tomorrow after the Beamer press conference, if it doesn't take too long. The daily luncheon buffet over there is 11 to 2. It's always delish and very well priced, too. It will not bust your budget. Very safe, spread out, social distancing, and all that. And, of course, for the best in the catering business, that's Seawells as well. For over 70 years, they have been taking care of people all around the state. Their phone number, you should have this memorized by now, 803-771-7385. Just remember 771, and then remember I-73, which we don't have, and I-85, which we do have. 803-771. Don't have an interstate, do have an interstate, 7385. Okay? That'll help you, Chris? Remember that number?
You know, it's interesting. I've been big on those type things, Roy G. Biv, to know the colors of the rainbow and that type of thing. So, yeah, that's a good one. That'll help me remember Seawell's phone number moving forward.
There you go. So Oscar Delp was in for the South Carolina game with Troy, his decision October 13th. It's down to South Carolina, Georgia, Clemson, Michigan. Not really going to be a factor here down the stretch. He didn't visit them during the season as he did the others. This is what he said about the visit and the message from Shane Beamer. Quote, "It was awesome. The fans were insane. People stopped me left and right. They had my name painted on some kids in the student section, so it was crazy. I definitely felt the love. I had a good time. It was a lot of fun. They targeted them, the tight ends, a lot. I loved what they did with them and how they moved them around. They sure did come out throwing to the tight ends. The coaches, were telling me the same thing they've been telling me from the beginning. I can help them change that program and be that guy known for that team, make a name for myself. Everybody wants to be that guy on the team. I think it's a good opportunity to have that chance. A big part of the decision," he said, "will be based on where he would most want to be if he were not playing football. He will notify the schools of his decision the day before his announcement." The announcement's on the 13th. USC's in the top 12 with 2023 defensive tackle Joel Starlings of Richmond. The others are Florida State, Michigan, Michigan State, Oregon, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Georgia, Texas A&M, Penn State, and Ole Miss. He made an unofficial visit to USC in early June. Tight end do this again. Tight end Jalen Skinner. No, it's Jaleel. Is it Jaleel Skinner? I think I mistyped this. What a surprise. Tight end Jaleel Skinner, a native of Greer, but now at IMG Academy in Florida, moved up his commitment announcement to this Friday at 3:30. He plans for the announcement to be on CBS Sports HQ. He's had a Final Five of Clemson, Alabama, Florida State, Miami, and Texas. I don't think Clemson's done all that much with him, to be honest with you. Wide receiver Caleb Webb of Powder Springs, Georgia, who's been committed to East Carolina, was at USC Saturday. He has an offer from the Gamecocks. He was at East Carolina for the USC game. He plans to visit Tennessee this Saturday when the Gamecocks will again be the opponent. 2023 safety Brandon Cisse of Lakewood made an unofficial USC Saturday. Quarterback Pro Franklin of Greenville went to North Carolina A&T Saturday, taking an official to Fordham this weekend. He plans to return to USC for a third game this season, maybe the Florida game. 2023 offensive tackle Joshua Miller of Richmond made an unofficial to Clemson Saturday for the BC game. He might be getting close to making a decision, maybe in November. 2023 safety Caleb Downs of Houston, Georgia, was at Clemson Saturday as well. 2024 running back Sammy Brown of Jefferson, Georgia, was at Clemson. 2024 receiver Mazio Bennett of Greenville was offered by USC Saturday while he was in for a visit. USC also offered 2024 safety Ellis Robinson IV of New Rochelle, New York. Clemson target wide receiver Andre Green Jr. of Richmond was at North Carolina Saturday. Safety Xavier Nwankpa of Altoona, Iowa, who had Clemson on his previous short list, named the top three of Notre Dame, Iowa, and Ohio State. Upcoming commitment announcements. October 6th, defensive tackle Jamari Lyons, USC or Florida. October 8th, Jaleel Skinner. October 13th, Oscar Delp. And October 13th, USC receiver target Jaden Gibson. Clemson target 6'5" Chauncey Gibson of Dallas postponed his announcement that was set for October the 7th, his commitment announcement, so he has postponed it. Clemson target tight end Josh Sapp, who was at Clemson Saturday and has been on hold for an offer pending the Oscar Delp announcement, tweeted today he'll have some big news coming soon. And Clemson and USC target 2023 offensive tackle Peyton Kirkland of Orlando was offered by North Carolina.
Standing in the shotgun by himself, has the snap, numbers high, looking left. Now fastball over the middle, caught DJ Moore, broken up at the 50, but keeps his feet. DJ Moore won't be denied to the 15, right side to the 10, thrown out of bounds at the 8-yard line. Incredible run after the catch.
All right, time for our visit here. It's Monday night with Mick Mixon, voice of the Panthers. All right, well, look, you weren't going to win them all anyway, and it looks like McCarthy's got that Dallas team on the come up based on how they've been playing of late.
They're 3-1, Corn. They got a crew. I mean, that O-line, that running back tandem of Pollard and Elliott, the way Dak Prescott is playing right now, he's at the height of his powers, and they're humming. Defensively, the Panthers didn't have much of an answer for their blitzes, their pass rush. It was, you could say, I don't think I'm going to say this, but you could probably say it wasn't as close as 8 points the way Dallas ran the ball for almost 250 yards, sacked Sam Darnold 5 times. Carolina had no sacks of Dak Prescott.
Mick, the Dallas Cowboys were so bad defensively last year they could only go up. But after seeing them play now, where would you rank them in terms of teams in the NFC that if the Panthers were to get into the playoffs, maybe a team you wouldn't want to see?
I think they're right up there. I mean, Trayvon Diggs has 5 picks in 4 games, 2 against the Panthers. Micah Parsons is a generational talent, it looks like. I mean, just a twitchy, fast, versatile defender that can slot. You could slot him in almost anywhere. And, you know, with Randy Gregory getting back healthy, I don't know. I think they're good. It's hard to close your eyes and imagine the Dallas Cowboy defense of years gone by that struck confidence into the hearts of opposing offenses.
Sam Darnold yesterday in a losing effort, I thought played pretty well. 2 passing touchdowns. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns, Mick, and he and Cam Newton are the only players in franchise history to do that. Is that a product of the fact that Christian McCaffrey is out right now, or do you see even when McCaffrey comes back that Sam Darnold may be a little bit more mobile and they may trust him to run the football more?
I think it's a weapon. I mean, a running quarterback, if you can do it, if you've got one that can do it, and the Eagles have one in Jalen Hurts, only the Ravens run more RPOs than the Eagles do. But I think it's something that we'll see moving forward, quite naturally on a somewhat limited basis, because you don't want to get Sam Darnold, you don't want to get him dinged up. He's so valuable. But I thought he played well. It's hard to evaluate his performance because he had so much pressure in his face. I know he would tell you, Chris, he missed a couple of out and ups. Had Robbie Anderson one time running free and just overthrew him. So yeah, he could probably play a little better, but I thought he played well. What do you think?
I would agree. I thought he played well in considering the Dallas defense that we expected to see from last year didn't show up. Those guys are a lot better, I think, than most people give them credit for, or at least anticipated them being.
And let me ask you quickly, our final 35, 40 seconds, update on Shaq Thompson and, of course, McCaffrey. What are you hearing?
Yeah, we brought Kamal Martin, a linebacker, up off of the practice squad, signed him to the active roster. So it looks like Shaq Thompson's going to be out for this week from what I'm hearing. And then McCaffrey, Coach Rule said McCaffrey, they're going to look at him Wednesday and see. I would say doubtful, but not out of the question that Christian McCaffrey could be ready to go Sunday.
Very good. That'd be a boost. What you got coming up on your Panthers call-in show tonight?
Oh, good show, Corn. Coach Matt Rule will join us live at the top. We got Hassan Reddick, linebacker, who's very fun to listen to, and then Scott Fitterer, the GM, as well.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend. Have a great show, a great week, a good game coming up this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Corn. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Mick.
Monday Night with Mick Mixon, voice of the Panthers. Guys, enjoyed it. Thank you, Smitty.
Jamar Brown just made "Come On, Man" on the Monday Night Football pregame show.
Oh, God.
Awesome.
Thank you, Chris. A
Yes,
Talking Tuesday featuring Shane Beamer and also Jamie Chadwell tomorrow. See you then.
Someone will be right with you. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 100